Okay, good afternoon, good evening again. Today is October 26, 2022. This is recording number 433, entitled Humility, the Heart's Crown. Humility, the Heart's Crown. Many of you remember way back in the day, there used to be a little super dog called Underdog. And he was characterized as being humble. And during the daylight hours and whatnot, he always looked like just some little old nothing dog, and like Clark Kent, his humility was always talked down to, and people tend to think that that's what humility is. But it's not. Humility is the crown that the heart wears, which makes it a king. The scriptures tell us, if my people that are called by my name would humble themselves and call on my name, pray, he says, I would hear from heaven and heal their land. If my people that are called by my name would humble themselves. And I was just speaking to one of the people here a little earlier about meditation. A lot of people think that meditation is the answer. Meditation is not the answer as we speak of it. Meditation is contemplation, meaning taking something and thinking about it and thinking about it and drawing out of it its value. And even though you may get an intellectual value that's drawn out, the meditative part is somewhere down the road when the blessing comes. It just bursts in on your consciousness, and suddenly you know. It says, he whose right it is to come, when he comes, he brings his reward. We tend to think of Jesus as being a person that's going to bring us some reward. No, the reward is the understanding of what you have contemplated to the point where it puts you in a safe place. If my people, this is God, that are called by my name. God is actually saying, you are my people, and I call you by my name. I'm not concerned with you calling yourself by my name. He's saying, I call you by my name. So if God is saying, I call you by my name, that means he is putting a value on a relationship that he has with us, that he wants us to do something. And if we do it, he says that he would hear from heaven, not some far-off land. He would hear from heaven, meaning if God lives in us, heaven is within us. So therefore, that person would hear from heaven. He would hear an inner reconciliation, an inner something that brings to light that which he's been contemplating, and then it would heal the land. Well, God is not going to heal the United States of America, okay? That's not the land he's talking about. He's not going to heal Israel. He's not going to heal Australia. That's not the land. The land that he heals is your awareness, your consciousness. Your land is now healed. What is your land? You are now a king, and you are able to rest in the comfort of the truth that God is not only calling you by his name, but now you know it. And because you know it, your land is healed, and now you can rest. That's how humility becomes the heart's crown. You wear it, but you don't wear it out in front of people that they might believe, oh, here comes the king. No, you wear it as Underdog would wear it. You wear it as Clark Kent would wear it, but you are never, ever out bringing negative vibes, or never out trying to crash people and tell them that you know the only way, because believe me, if there's one thing I know for sure, Everybody already thinks they know. You don't believe me? Go ask a Baptist. Go ask an Episcopalian. Go ask a Methodist, a Seventh-day Adventist, a Jehovah's Witness, a Catholic, a Mormon. You name them. You go ask them, and you will not be able to teach them anything. So what are we doing? You are working out your personal salvation according to what you believe. And should you believe the truth, you're going to prove it, and you're not going to prove it to any one of them to where they turn and go, oh, no, they're not. You're only going to prove it to one person. You're going to prove it to yourself. And if you prove it to yourself, that's just like what just jumped in my head was when Jesus was speaking to the Pharisees, and they were coming down on him because he was calling himself the Son of God. He was talking about he had this relationship with God. He was talking about all this stuff. And then one of them opened up that big mouth and said, those miracles you're doing by the work of Beelzebub. And when he said that, Jesus had it. Jesus said, so in other words, you are acknowledging that miracles are taking place. See? That person saw for themselves that something extraordinary was going on, and they said, you're doing those things, but you're doing them by the work of the devil. And Jesus said, if you see those things, then you have to recognize that the kingdom of heaven has come unto you. See, Jesus is wearing humility as a crown. Jesus is wearing this humility, and because he's wearing the humility, then it's being understood. He knows he's a king, and he has no problem dealing with anything else. It is written that through humility and fear, which is the reverence of God, comes riches and honor and life. Because thine heart was tender, and thou didst humble thyself before God, when thou heardest his words against this place and against the inhabitants thereof, humbled thyself before me, and even rent your clothes and wept before me, I have even heard thee also, saith the Lord. Look at what this person is putting themselves through. Look at what this person is putting themselves through to get to the humility of God. It says, because you did humble yourself. So now we understand that the word humble means to back off what you believe you know, back off what you believe you understand, and become teachable. As they said about Moses, Moses was a humble and a meek person. Now here's a man that was born into the kingdom of Pharaoh. He could not be a Pharaoh simply because he was a Hebrew. But had he been an Egyptian, he would have been in line to rule in Egypt. But he wasn't. But he was still number 2 son in all the land. And what did he do? He had to humble himself from what he thought he knew, and it took him some 40 years to come to an understanding that there was a God, and this God loved him, and this God was willing to teach him all things that he might be called the Son of God. It said, you did humble yourself, therefore, before God, when you heard the words against this place. We need to stop thinking of words attacking like the United States or attacking McDowell County or attacking Welch. No, the place that's being attacked is the sanctuary of God. When you realize that you did not have peace, when you realize that you do not have security, then you stop and you ponder, what can be done for me? How can I get this? And when you heard the words of attack, because people are out there attacking you every day because they're trying to what? Save their own well-being. They're trying to establish their own well-being. When they heard this, and against the inhabitants, you notice how Christians get down-talked? Why Christians talk badly? Because they don't have any power. That's the only reason. Trust me. If Christians knew their power and lived in it, they would not be being downcast. Christians are being downcast because they're not even a cut above the person out there that doesn't believe at all. Now, what do I mean? Am I talking down? No. What I mean is they don't know their power. They're constantly every day asking God to give them power. And God is saying, all things I have given. My love is in your hands. You are the temple of the living God. I live. Who has, in the book of Haggai, he says what? Who shall build a house for me to dwell in? And what did the world do? Went out and threw up all these monstrosities. The bigger the better, because we love God the most. No, he's saying in another place, and then he even comes out and says, you dwell in your own self-built houses, right? And he says, and you put paneled walls and ceilings in there, while my house goes without. What is he saying there? He said, you are the house. And you keep building all these things up to make it look like you love God. But he's saying, no, build a house that I will find sanctuary in. You humble yourself. Humble yourself before me. Rend your clothing, which is a symbol. That's symbolic. He's not saying tear your clothes up. He's saying stop thinking that just because you look good on Sunday, stop thinking that because you drive a nice car, because you got a good job, stop thinking that those are the blessings. Anybody can get those blessings. Okay? He's saying rend your clothes, meaning sit yourself down and self-evaluate yourself. If peace is not living in your home, in your conscience, you haven't found it. If security is not resting in your conscience, you haven't found it. So he's saying, rend your clothes and sit down and say, Lord, I'm weeping. I'm weeping before you. Then God says, because you have opened your heart and humbled yourself, I have heard you. Now the teaching begins. Humility, it's the heart's crown. To wear it is to display the honor of the Lord. It doesn't mean you walk around showing a visible humility for others to look on. No. You walk around knowing now that you have found the secret of secrets, and you dare not displace it by describing what you see as real. The moment you see anything that goes against the laws of God, you immediately, no, that's not going on in heaven. What is God hearing you say? I'm building a house that the Lord would be pleased. It's like someone said today, heaven, evil was created in heaven. Yeah, we all got told that, didn't we? We all ate that nasty sandwich. And they put that guilt on us that now we're unworthy and we got to do all this until the scriptures tell you God says, heaven is pure, heaven is perfect, I am perfect, and there is nothing that my eyes can look on that's evil because my eyes are too pure to behold evil and iniquity. Well, hold up, wait a minute. If God created evil, if evil came to heaven, that means God, the creator of all things, had to create it. And what's worse, he had to know he was doing it. See how twisted we are down here? We're walking around trying to pay a price for something that we didn't do because the only created evil in heaven is the negative belief that we carry in our heads that keep us separated from our good. That's the only evil. So then where is heaven? Heaven is my conscience. Heaven is within my ability to reason and understand. That's why God says, come, let us reason together. What he doesn't mean for you to bring your case. Okay, what he's saying is, come, let us reason together. You come there, and I'm going to tell you. God said, I'm going to show you what good is. I'm going to show you what perfect is, and you're going to go, oh, okay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to wear that crown. Why? Because God said it. Can you prove God said it? Sure can. Here it is right here in the scriptures. But more importantly than being in the scriptures, I need to hear it. I need to hear it within me. And he says, I will speak. Whereas many perceive humility to make oneself less than others or relegating one's position as not important, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm just a filthy rag. I should have been dead and in my grave. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Oh, watch out! I might go into a little hoop here. But you get my point. They've laid this guilt thing on us, and we're walking around saying, "Oh Lord, please forgive me." He said, "Well, what do you think that was hanging on the cross? You're asking me to forgive you? What do you think I did when I went to the cross for you?" Yeah, Lord, I know, Lord, but that was just for them, and we got all these ways that we do that are just right. What did he tell Joshua when Joshua had sin in the camp? Dude, you got sin in the camp. Get up. Let's go fix it. Was there any, did you think Joshua was walking around going, I wonder if he's going to forgive me? I wonder if it was, and go look at the things that Jesus did. The lady caught in the midst of adultery. What did he do? He forgave her. Come on. The guys that were going to stone her with the stones, what did he do? Forgave them. The thief on the cross, what did he do? See, this is what meditative contemplation does for you. It causes you to be able to go, wait a minute. The lady at the well who had slept with what? 4 husbands and number 5? What did he say? Man, if you ask me for living water, I'd give it to you. And she says, oh, my God, I found Messiah. You see, we're walking around mad at each other, talking about each other, holding out against each other, when all we're actually doing is bringing that filthy judgment upon ourselves. For with the measure that you judge a situation, shall it be measured back to you. Oh, my goodness. Man, they ought to take so-and-so and look at the intensity you put in that judgment. He's saying that intensity is going to be measured back. It doesn't matter that, so-and-so might catch a fish that's 2 feet long, and you get mad and you go out and catch one that's 2 inches long. No. It's the intensity that you put in it. We need to understand what humility is. It's a crown. It's a crown placed on us because God has seen us worthy to humble ourselves so he can teach us. It's the acknowledgement that God or the Father within us is all. I know that's kind of hard to get to, but that's where we got to get to. And I said, God, how can we say you are all? Where do we get that from? Well, do you remember when Jesus said, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one." That's what he was saying right there. God is all. It matters not the ugly that you look at. The ugly that you look at is what? Not God. That's it. And you should lay no judgment, because who judges? The Father judges. It's up to you to what? Give the Father leeway to do his judgment, and you move on. He's saying that weapon will not come against you. Even if it does, I will contend with who contends with you. I don't need you to take care of yourself. Wear humility. It's a crown. The reverence of the Lord draws riches and honor to the life lived. Where did my focus immediately go? Money, 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 money. Money. See? No. What we are receiving from God is a tangible, intangible. Honor and riches. God don't need no money. God doesn't need a house. What did Jesus say? Foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. And that boy never needed a roof to sleep. He never needed a bed to sleep in. What's the other? And he never owned a home. You see what I'm saying? It's realizing the presence of God with you. That's what humility will crown you with. The heart opens to the purposes of God. The recognition of the greater one within is the greatest step to humility. Oh, I know you hear all these people out here talking about, yeah, I got God in me. Yeah, I know God. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. All that. And listen to the conversation that comes after they say, I'm blessed, highly favored, God is good all the time. You know, listen to the conversation, how they start mocking one another and talking about each other. See, the greatest step, that if you understand that God is within you, then you're going to watch what you say after you acknowledge that. You're going to make sure the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are what? Acceptable in his sight. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against you. In and of myself, I am nothing. That's what Jesus said. People refuse to believe that Jesus Christ had no power of his own. And yet he out of his own mouth said, in and of myself, I can do nothing. It's the Father that doeth the work. So what is he doing? He has humbled himself to allow a flow to come through him. And the people not being able to see that power, the people not able to see that flow, they connected it to him. And he was going, oh, no, I'm not doing this. And people said, oh, good master. And he said, don't call me good. See, we need to sit and read and ask God for understanding, because if Jesus did not call himself good and said he could not be called good under any circumstances, how in the world do we look at people out here and say, oh, they're good people? Oh, they're real good. Why does God let bad things happen to good people? Wow. There is no power within my perception of myself that I dare speak of that is worth speaking of. Humility in God allows me to recognize the divine presence within me, constituting all intelligence and wisdom. When I say that God is within me, I am saying that the infinite wisdom of the universe is within me, is with me. The intelligence, all of the intelligence that exists anywhere is within me. Well, Rev, you can't take that upon yourself. Yes, I can. Why? Because God says, you are my temple, and therein do I live. Well, if he lives in his temple, whether I want to say it or not, if he lives in my temple, isn't he all intelligence? Isn't he all wisdom? That means, then, all of that is with me. What must I do? I must humble myself to wear that crown. That's it. Humility in God allows me to recognize the divine presence within me. I said that, constituting all intelligence and wisdom. This presence is my health, my strength, my safety, my all in all. I do not pray to God for health. Okay? I do not pray to God for finances. I do not pray to God for shelter and all these other things. I pray to God for the acknowledgement, for the known existence of his presence being with me, and he flows out as these things. That's why he said the added things. I will add to you wealth and riches. What are wealth and riches? According to the wealth and riches of Jesus Christ. That's wealth and riches. Those things come into expression because we have humbled ourselves to allow the mighty wisdom and intelligence of God to act within our bodies the way the rose bush allows it, the way the grapevine allows it, the way the pineapple tree, the fish in the sea, the way those things. Can you not know that these things are constantly operating over and on and on and on and on nonstop? Man is the only thing that gets in the way of his flow. And to get in the way, he usually hurts another man. That which created me, that formed me, constitutes that which I am, and functions to fulfill its design and purpose in a relationship with its creation. I'm going to say that again. That which created me, that formed me, constitutes that which I am, okay? It makes what I am. That which I am the creation of something, but my substance is made up of the Creator. It functions to fulfill its own purpose and design. So I can't say I want to be the greatest fisherman in the world, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to fish and fish and fish and fish and fish when God wanted me to be a teacher in the educational system. And every time I go fishing, I might get a little here, a little there. But when I go to the educational system, boy, they learn like I don't want to do that. No. God has a purpose and design for each and every one of us. And the interaction is for us to come to a knowledge of this relationship that is being shared. You can only become truly humble. You can only wear this particular crown as we are able to conclude that the aforementioned statement that I just made is true. As long as you hold out being a filthy rag, an unrighteous and unworthy, as long as you hold out, you are not going to experience the worthiness, the value that God has placed. What? What was the value? In the beginning, God created man in his image and in his likeness. That means that whatever God is, that's what man is. But if you decide that you're not worthy of that, you are not going to be rewarded with the life that was given. You're not going to interact with it. And others are. And getting jealous is not going to help. Okay? Because like I said, the only person you can prove your worthiness to is to yourself. And that's when Jesus says, come out from among them. They got you tied to all these legalistic views. They got you tied to all these laws. They got you tied to all these things you got to wear to church, the things you got to, they got you tied to all this stuff to where people are sitting up rolling their eyes at each other more so than trying to humble themselves that the blessings of God would be shown as their life. Greater than he that is in the world is he that is within me. What in the world would you be if you believe that? Now just think about the people who every day keep screaming and begging and weeping and hollering and saying, God, please, God, and he's saying, if you would take this scripture right here and sit down, greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. And if you're able to block out people, that would leave it at you. So greater is the presence, Spirit of God within me than the person I think I am in this world. Now you're getting somewhere. Because as you keep thinking about that, the table is going to turn, and you're going to start to perceive the greatness of this Spirit. You don't have to say you just perceive the greatness. How great is our God? Remember? Is that Hezekiah? How great is our God? How great is our God? Hey, when you actually know how great God is, guess what? The voice is going to speak within you. Like Moses went to the mountain and was gone 40 days and 40 nights. When he came off that mountain, what is he saying? I am that. See what I'm saying? You have to be able to catch that, because you hang around God too long, his identity is going to begin to speak from your mouth. This is where what the Christian calls miracles, that's where miracles come from. Because of the nearness of God, you will speak with confidence. Your only measuring thing is to be able to recognize your confidence growing to speak with it. And if you're speaking with it, it's not I that speaks. It's the Christ within me that's doing the speaking. That's when you'll be able to look at someone when they pose a problem and you just say, go, be healed, go, be at peace. Why? Because you understand that now heaven is speaking. And you're humbled enough in this world of non-humility. You're humbled enough to speak with that confidence and allow those people to shoot at you who think you've taken on a little bit more than you deserve. And Jesus said, I go prepare a place that where I am, you may be also. Wow. How can I be where he is and be taking on more than I deserve? We must understand that he within me performs that which appointed unto me and perfects that which concerns me. That's automatic right there, isn't it? You don't have to worry about going around here healing anybody, because you can't. Okay? You can't go around here answering people's prayers, because you can't. But when you understand the greater one living within you, it says, he performs that which is appointed. I am allowing the fresh aroma of who God is to flow out into expression. He perfects that which concerns me. So if there's anything lacking in my life, he fixes it. How? By me contemplating my relationship unbreakable with him. Isn't that what Paul said? Don't you find it strange that Paul was going around persecuting all kinds of people, and when he came into the full understanding of who God was, nobody could touch him? And the people that used to be his buddies were trying to kill him, but they couldn't get touched. They couldn't get close to him. Why? Because the temple had been set up so that he whose right it was to come, which is God, now watches over his creation in a relationship because God has a purpose greater than the one you think you have. Okay? True humility, self-effacement of the personal sense of life, surrendering to the acknowledgement that God, the Creator, has given us all that pertains to life and godliness, and as functioning as the qualities in and through us. This is your battle, if you want to call it a battle, but it's not really a battle because you're trying to lose. You want to lose. I want to sit down and I want to go at these scriptures losing because I want the Creator. I want to know. It's like I've come to a place that I know there's a switch that flips when you know that you know that you know something. I can remember when as a young kid, when I realized that 1 + 1 was 2, and I knew why it was. That switch flipped, and when it flipped, it went all through all of the digits. I used to only do my 2s, my 5s, and my 10s, right? I'd mess up on my 3s and my 4s, but one day it clicked. And when it clicked, I said, I know this. And that's what God is trying to get us to the place that where we keep coming and keep coming and keep coming until that switch flips. And you can look at somebody and they say, I don't have blah, blah, blah. And you look at them and say, didn't you see the miracle? Don't you know that God is with you? This is what Jesus had. This is what he had. Don't you realize that God is with you? You have nothing to fear. You have nothing to pray about. Just acknowledge the Lord when? In all thy ways. And he will what? Direct your path. This is the practice that brings the crown. But look at what you're doing. You humbling yourself, not to the things of this world. You're humbling yourself before the mighty hand of God who has sworn by all that he is to take care of you, to be with you. Humility, the surrender of the personal self in God. God, thou art my life. Thou art life. Thou art the way. Thou art the truth. I did not leave room for any other personage, any other power, any other anything. God is all. My being, my wisdom, my guidance, my direction, my support, my supply, my maintenance, and my eternality. Eternality is not years. Don't get that twisted, okay? Eternality is just is. Eternality always has been, always will be, cannot be measured by numbers. So when you hear people talking about we're going to live life eternal, not in years, because life is eternal. How long have the seeds been falling from the trees and hitting the ground and reproducing? Wow, there's an intelligence in there. Well, do you think that your intelligence is less than that of an apple tree? Less than a blade of grass? Less than water? We need to come to an understanding. We need to humble ourselves that this flow would flow from us. Are you saying it will flow automatically? That's what the scripture said. It said, seek ye first, didn't it? The kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all the things that the Gentiles seek will be added. There's no asking. They're added. Well, how does it know what I want? Well, you got a brain. Don't you think God is in your brain? When you form a picture of something that you would like, don't you think he sees it? The Father in heaven knows all things you have need of and will gladly give you the kingdom. What's the kingdom? The knowing that he's there all the time. And when you go, man, wow, I like to have a so-and-so. And you go from there, it is. It shows up. Humility is the great step in belief that the Creator will keep that which has been given for safekeeping. The Creator, I know we're all, what are we afraid of? Losing ourselves. How you going to lose yourself? How you going to save yourself? What are you going to do to keep from catching whatever is out there? No. You have no protection except what? The Word. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by the Word, and there was not anything made that was made. And all things were made for his pleasure. To as many as received this truth, gave he power to become the sons of God, which in essence is what? The visible image of an invisible word, an invisible power. Wow. No longer a hope. I don't hope for heaven. I know that heaven resides within me. I know that I reside in heaven. I know that God resides in his heaven, which is everywhere and centered in me. If my people that are called by my name would humble themselves, change, turn from their wicked ways, I would hear from heaven and I would heal their land. That's a promise. And you find it through humility, the heart's crown. God bless.